Good afternoon, colleagues, students, and all protocol observed. My name is Matshediso Modise, and I'm representing College of Education Academic Integrity Committee. I will be presenting on matters and processes of academic integrity and dishonesty. Our program director, Professor Mawela, Ms. Poshokwe, Dr. Mphahlele, Professor Jojo, Memawela, Memo Loisani, and Dr. Manyaka, and Mesafura, they all briefly spoke on issues of academic integrity. My presentation today is based on UNISA's 2017 Academic Integrity Policy Extracts. With this policy, the intention of the university is to address its position to acts of academic dishonesty. I will later on in my presentation elaborate on these acts. The focus, therefore, of this policy is to provide education to students, to academics, to support staff, and all the employees of UNISA. This one, Lindsay, I see one. My presentation, the content of my presentation is as follows. I'm going to talk to 7 points defining the main concept. The main concepts, we have 2 concepts here, that is academic integrity and academic dishonesty. Point number 2 will be addressing academic dishonesty or activities contravening academic integrity. Looking at how we can curb academic dishonesty as students. Students' obligations. Point number 5 is consequences of contravening academic integrity. Point number 6, points of departure and values student must uphold, or I can say values that UNISA student must uphold. The question that we need to answer is, what is academic integrity? And I should believe from listening to all the presentations since in the morning, by now we can tell what is academic integrity. To define that, allow me to borrow the words of C.S. Lewis when he says, open quote, integrity is doing the right thing when no one is watching, close quote. UNISA policy defines it as the meaningful and concerted effort to ensure concern for human dignity, for honesty, for trust, for fairness, truthfulness, accuracy, respect, and responsibility in teaching, research, and community engagement. We therefore cannot speak of academic integrity and not address issues of academic dishonesty. The opposite of academic integrity is academic dishonesty. The 2017 UNISA policy on academic integrity refers to academic dishonesty as committing acts that contravene or that violate the academic integrity policy. Such acts include solicitation, which is buying of papers, outsourcing answers from the service providers, cheating online, which is happening a lot. But I believe since we have been talking, since in the morning we have been speaking about plagiarism and academic integrity, this will minimize the acts that we see happening amongst our students and will help us or help our students to be the students of integrity, to behave in an acceptable manner, knowing that Performing academic dishonesty is not an acceptable act. Professor Mawela gave an example of teaching practice students submitting the workbook of another student who did teaching practice in the previous year. That is plagiarism. That is cheating. That is unacceptable behavior that contravene academic integrity policy. Falsification and fabrication of information, these two concepts go together. Complicity in and facilitation of academic dishonesty. Collaborating in committing academic dishonesty, that is not acceptable. And criminal activities that transgress academic integrity. These are the academic dishonesty activities that violate academic integrity. I will zoom into some of this activity. For an example, plagiarism, cheating, facilitation of academic dishonesty, falsification, fabrication, and facilitation of academic dishonesty in my next presentation, or next slide. Plagiarism. I'm sure if as a student I was not aware of this word, but I think we have heard it many times and we have looked into its meaning in the dictionary. What does this mean? And we are advocating this academic integrity policy so that when you are caught having committed what is not acceptable, having committed the acts that contravene academic integrity policy, you will be aware of this. We'll have mediated this to you. Plagiarism, according to the policy, the definition that is in the policy is the act of taking the words, ideas, and thoughts of others and presenting them as your own. It is a form of theft which involves several dishonest academic activities, such as the following: cutting and pasting from any source without acknowledging the source, not including or using incorrect references, paraphrasing without acknowledging the original source of the information. Professor Jojo spoke much about this and also emphasized that you can paraphrase and gave you an example of paraphrasing, but at the end you still need to reference the source. You still need to cite the source where you got an information. The other act is cheating. Cheating is said to include, but is not limited to, the following: completing assessments on behalf of another student. We know, and some of the students may attest to this, that there are service providers that offer those services that we can write an assignment for you. And Dr. Mphahlele spoke about sharing our cell numbers. You will receive a message saying we can help you with the answers for this task, but we do it for a fee. And because some students will be going through challenges during the time of exam, they will fall into the trap of using that service, which will lead you into trouble when you do that. So completing assessments on behalf of another student, or copying from another student during an assessment, or allowing a student to copy from you, it's cheating. And let me make you aware of this. Innocently, you will go and buy whatever help is being offered to you, thinking that you are alone. And you'll find that during marking, you are flagged. And upon investigation, we discover that you are not the only student. It's quite a number of you who use the same source. So that is also cheating. You have plagiarized because you wrote the same thing, same answers. You don't even check. Using social media or other platforms to disseminate assessment information during online examination. It does happen. That is not acceptable. It is cheating. It is cheating, and it's possible that that can happen with students because I know maybe you are advanced with technology. You can share answers through WhatsApp, but this will caught up with you when it comes to marking. Or the invigilator app will also pick you up that you are sharing answers. Maybe you are sitting next to each other, you are talking, and at the same time you are sending answers to your friend through WhatsApp. Submitting corrupt or irrelevant files, buying completed answers from tutors. This is what I was referring to on the internet sites. The policy refers to that as contract cheating and is violation of academic integrity. Most of our students fall into that trap. We have had Dr. Kotisang. She spoke about the services that they are offering to students, the counseling services, because sometimes some students during exam time, they going through a lot of stress because of some family challenges that they are facing. Those are the people that you can contact and they advise you instead of falling into the trap and buying completed answers. And at the end of the day, you'll be left alone to reap the consequences of what you have done. Falsification. Example of such activities, falsification and fabrication, they all go together, is altering results or evidence, referencing a source that has not been used, the source that has not been cited in the text, you reference that, altering data that do not support a desired conclusion. For an example, maybe you want to collect data, you have been given a task to go and do a research, a mini research, and at the end of the day, you did not get the information that you want. And you write your own information. I'll just put it in a simple way. You write your own information. That information is false. It's falsification of information because you have altered the data that does not support your desire, your desired conclusion. It refers to intentional misinterpretation or alteration of any information. You did that intentionally. You were aware when you were doing that act. The same with fabrication of information, fabrication of the facts. It's intentional invention of facts, of research results or findings or other information. An example of fabrication is to create results for surveys or interviews that never took place. You fabricate information, you fabricate that. For an example, we know some of you are working, you are not full-time in classes, you are working maybe in a private institution, and you don't even have time to go and do a mini research that the lecturer has requested you to do. And you said, no, I will just do my own and present the result to the researcher. That you have fabricated that information. And it's an unacceptable behavior that UNISA does not tolerate. The policy refers to to it as intentional intervention of facts. I have stated it there. The other act that contravene academic integrity is facilitation of academic dishonesty. Collaborating in doing academic dishonesty activities. Allowing UNISA tuition material to be used by other institutions. That is not acceptable. Writing an assignment or taking an examination for another student. Distributing assessment before the scheduled assessment time. That is not acceptable. It contravenes the academic integrity policy. Now, as UNISA student, how can we curb this academic dishonesty, or whose responsibility is that? We are all responsible for curbing the academic dishonesty. Lecturers, departmental academic integrity committees, markers, students. But in this instance, our focus is on you as students. We can, as students, curb this by upholding the academic integrity policy, which is accessible on my UNISA website, and also through maintaining the academic integrity principle set out as our obligation. Have you heard that people say, hey, that person is the person of integrity? What does that mean? That person strives to do the right things at all times. I think from today, after the presentations that we have had, we will change the way the outside world view UNISA student. You will change the way the outside world view UNISA, our products from the university, because you will be behaving in an acceptable manner when it comes to teaching, when it comes to writing. You will know that I must not, when it comes to answering assignment, I must not outsource the answers. The following obligations are the ones that we should also uphold as students. Each student must submit her original work except when group work is required. Yes, you can discuss, you can sit together as a group and work on an assignment that is given to you, agree on the answers, but you have to go back and sit alone and put your thoughts down, what you have discussed in your own words. Unless if it's a group work, the lecturer said, no, go, you are grouped in terms, you write an assignment as a group work, as a group, then you submit as a group, that will be acceptable. But it is important that always you write your own original, you submit your own original work. And when you have written your work, or as you write your work, you will look for information, and that is what we encourage, that beside the information that we give you, go out as a student and look for other information. And when you got that information, when you cite that information, paraphrase, cite the source. At the end, make a reference. The other point is that no student should present or submit other people's work as if it were his or hers. This one relates to the example that I have mentioned, that Professor Mawela mentioned earlier. That and sometimes students, students, they just photocopy the work. And you can see that this work has been photocopied. It's someone's work. Somewhere you did not delete, or you deleted, but it's visible. That is not an acceptable behavior. Each student is required to attach a signed declaration form or originality for assignment, project, manuscript, dissertation, and thesis. Whatever work you have done, there's a declaration form that you have to submit, to sign. You agree. And don't think these things don't work. They do work, because at the end, when you are found guilty of something, they will check if you have signed that. And you will have declared that the work that you submit is your work, you have submitted is your work, whereas it was not your work. We continue with our obligation. A student may not ask for the advice or seek the inputs from any other person while undertaking a written assessment. No student should allow another person to use or copy from his or her academic outputs and present it as their own. This one refers to research also. You may be given a research task to go and do, and when you come back, you write, and some students may get hold of your work and write it and submit it as if they are it's their work, whereas it's not their work. Students should have a moral obligation to report academic integrity violation. I want to share this example, because sometimes we think that things that we are reading are not happening. I'll share an example of a student who is writing, is a PhD student, and she has gone abroad for a study, and the student is coming back in September, but she will not come back with the PhD that she went there for. And the mother was saying to me, you know, there is this problem. You know, my daughter is working so hard. I will not say the name. Is working so hard every time she's writing, she's submitting articles, and is writing for the lecturer. The lecturer is submitting the work as his. That is not acceptable. Like I have mentioned, that we are all responsible. Even as lecturers, we are responsible for curbing academic dishonesty. That is academic dishonesty. And the results thereof are unpleasant. We don't want to frighten you, but we want to make you aware of the consequences of committing acts that contravene academic integrity. After being identified either during exam by invigilator app or during the marking process, a case of suspected academic integrity will be reported to the DSAA through the lecturer. The Office of the Student Disciplinary Committee will send you a letter alleging the misconduct. You as a student, you have to make your submission to the committee in writing or in person during the hearing. And also the module lecturer will be there to present evidence during the hearing against you on the alleged misconduct or on the alleged act of contravening the Academic Integrity Act. During hearings, the alleged charge will be read to you as a student, and you'll be given time to respond, whether you plead guilty or not plead guilty. If you are guilty, also further questions are being asked: where you get the information, whether you shared your work with other students, how did it come that your work is similar to another student's work, exactly word by word. And that can only happen if we copy it, if we take someone's words and put them as ours. Now, from here, where do we go? All academic activities by students are expected to be based on sound ethical grounds and should be the results of persons' own skill and labor. That is according to the policy. Activities that undermine academic integrity are dealt with by the registrar in line with ordinary disciplinary procedures. That is why it's very important that this policy, we read it in conjunction with other policies. It is therefore very important that as UNISA student, we uphold these academic integrity values, which UNISA has stated in the policy as defining concepts of academic integrity. That is human dignity, honesty, trust, fairness, faithfulness, accuracy, responsibility, and respect. Earlier on in the previous slides, I mentioned signing a declaration. Every assessment students are to sign declarations. And I have an example of a declaration from the policy. I am sure that we are all familiar with this, where you commit that the work that you have submitted or you are submitting is your own work. These are documents that can help us in reading more about academic integrity activities, policy on academic integrity, policy on copyright infringement, student disciplinary code, student values and plagiarism that you can get from the website, and it's very, very informative. You can also visit that. I haven't tried it. Okay. Yes, let me try to share it with you. I'm sure you can all see this. You'll be able to see this. This is a lot of information on academic integrity. You just click on the website and you will access this information. My presentation, colleagues and students, it ends here. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all. Ke a leboga, Dolivua, Zakenza, Enkosi, ngiyabonga, Bayadangi. Thank you.